I just want to go back to the answer I said earlier. It kind of responds to the same question. Um, First off, we have to access the grants that we have now. Currently, we do have the 132 and 18 million. In a couple months, we don't know how everything's going to go, so we have to be prepared for the pandemic to come back. And as county commissioner, I'm going to make sure we have that plan set in stone before I even come into office. So if anything does happen, if the most vulnerable are in effect again, we have to be ready to protect them. Also, I want to go back to the things that Hunt said about Cobb is rising, South Cobb is rising. It is rising, but we can't leave people behind. And I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm going to be the candidate to do that. I'm not going to leave anybody behind. I've lived here for all my life, and I don't want nobody to be left out of the conversation.
Thank you.
We were already at a crisis before COVID-19 hit. Cobb Magistrate Court was seeing 300 people a week. On Fridays at 9 o'clock in the morning, 150 people were on the docket for being evicted. And also at 1 p.m., another 150 people. So we were already in crisis mode. And when you're paying people $10 an hour and they have daycare to pay for, they have housing expenses to pay for, we were already struggling. So just when we got hit with the COVID-19, it just impacted even more. So what we're going to need, what we're going to learn from this, that everybody, even though South Cobb may be rising, we definitely have to make sure we pull everybody up. We definitely have to advocate for livable wages, not just $15 an hour, because right now we're seeing that doesn't even pay $9 rent. We need at most $25 an hour to be able to able to provide for our families. So therefore, on day one, what I'm going to continue to do is advocate for workable, livable wages, advocate for our families, advocate for our children. We're going to win the future together. Thank you very much.
I'm optimistic about my first day as your commissioner. I'm optimistic because the first day doesn't come in January of 2021. The first day comes after this June 9th election, beginning to build the relationships with the other commissioners and the board that will be needed in order to get anything done in this Cobb County. We need 3 votes, and I'm willing to go in there before day one to start building those relationships. When day one first comes, again, as I said before, the job of the commissioners is to first provide for the health, safety, and welfare of our citizenry. So we will start by looking at public safety. We will then go to and address the economic status of our county, and then focus very deliberately on a department by department review on how we can improve and eliminate redundancies. That's what I plan on doing on my first day and the days thereafter. Thank you.
First day, I plan to set up an advisory council for the items that we need. But essentially, as Mr. Hunt said, the job begins right now. We have to bring back the $6.14 billion that we've lost in tourism. That was a significant, the number one industry in Cobb. We have to engage Cobb County or Cobb Chamber, the Cobb Chamber, to look at those companies who are interested so that we can get our people working. We have to look at creative ways to change our businesses. And as we bring that significant investment in, we would have support for our small businesses. They can benefit from that. I don't know if you know about South Carolina and BMW, but once BMW got there, there was Michelin and all of these ancillary companies. And so my first day would be the advisory council, bringing back the industry and setting up new industries.
I can't really answer that because I don't know if anybody know what they're doing after this COVID-19. Federal government is day by day, state day by day. We had to take it one day at a time, put some things in measure to be a little proactive, but how do we know how this thing is going to really affect the government, our people? Like Monica said, people being out of jobs, we got to be ready for that. Things will never be the same again probably after this, and it's going to be a slow process of getting back to where we was. So to be specific, it's just getting work with the departments and let them know to be ready because we don't know how this is going to affect your department, but guarantee a cut may be coming. And we got to find ways to bring not only the county, but the people back to work because I don't have the answer to it. I'm just going to be straightforward because we don't haven't been in this situation before. So again, the virus is a day-by-day thing as cases arise and deaths and people coming back around. Thank you.
The assumption is there that we will feel remnants of COVID-19 on day one of the job, which I'm hoping desperately that we won't, because day one starts, I think, in January. But in any case, we will deal with the fallout or the ramifications from it. So from day one, actually for me, it started 3 years ago with being on a board of zoning appeals. So I'm grateful for the opportunity to work with some of the current commissioners on the board. But on day one, what I would need to do, I'm sure along with the other commissioners, is review the budget. The funds that we received from the CARES Act, those funds need to be spent by December 30th. But the important thing there is it's not just throwing money after things that needs to be done, but we need to ensure that the funds will last until those particular items are taken care of and are resolved. There's going to be a lot for us to recover from COVID-19.
I think on day one, for me, it would be June 10th, the day after the election. Once I'm elected, I would definitely try to interface with the current commissioner to begin transitioning from her perspective to the perspective that I will have for our South Cobb community going forward. I would also meet with the current commissioners and continue to build on the relationship I already have with them. I would meet with the chairman who allowed me to serve on his transition committee when he first came into office, to again build the relationships, build upon what's already been developed through the years of me advocating and lobbying with the commissioners. But the most important thing that I would do is ensure that South Cobb receives its fair share of the COVID relief funds, that we are allocated the monies that should come to our community and that it's not diverted someplace else. Thank you.
You support the creation of the city of Mableton. If you do not support it, will you fight to at least get it on the ballot so that voters can decide?
No, I do not support the creation of the city of Mableton, and for a number of reasons. I moved to Mableton as a municipality years ago for the things that it offered. And one of those things was it wasn't taxing the citizens. So we have a lot of people that are pushing the city of Mableton who are either not homeowners or who don't live in our community, yet they're pushing a situation on top of people who do. And they're misleading the public in telling them that they won't be taxed anymore. We also have the history of the other communities that became cities, and you've seen the dysfunction there, and you've seen the problems that are going on. So to turn around and put that on us, I think is unfair. And nobody's talking about the tax exemption or homestead exemption that we'll lose, or the monies that the seniors would lose with their exemption. So that's the conversation that I would have, and that's the fight that I would have relative to stopping it. Thank you.
We serve on the advisory committee for the South Cobb Alliance, and my role was basically to just make sure that renters were included in the conversation. You know the stats. The South Cobb community is roughly 40 to 45% renter occupied. So therefore, renters need to be a part of the conversation. Now, speaking of renters, there was a situation when this apartment complex was not doing their maintenance issues. They were not keeping the apartments healthy and safe for the residents. And we had to go to the county. We had to go to the county to address that. So therefore, if there would have been a city in place, if there would have been a city authority in place, those issues could have been addressed much sooner. But thankfully, because of my advocacy work, we were able to get Georgia House Bill Law 346 passed, which is a renter's rights that says that landlords cannot retaliate against renters when they report maintenance issues.
And the truth is, this is not just something for South Cobb, the city of Mableton, but it's also for the annexation that Smyrna is continuing to expand. And so I think we have to take multiple things from that. People need resources. People need the county to actually give the resources to those areas. But we also have to see the question of why is this cityhood being put in place? When you see the demographics of the regions that are going to be annexed by Smyrna, they said they're pretty similar demographics. And that's true, those are homes. But I guess let me be straightforward. I don't agree with it now. It's not the time for it, and there's not enough advocacy being done for it so people can understand what's going on. But there are pros from it. Right now, it gives the opportunity. Will I vote for? Not right now. Maybe in 2021, but if there's not enough effort for the community to know what's going on, there shouldn't be a movement going on. And I've been to one of the meetings. There were 7 people there. That's not enough to make the decision for the rest of Cobb. So
I think we can do better than limiting the discussion. I agree that we need to include the Smyrna annexation into the discussion and having a robust and full-throated discussion with the community. Broad town halls, a lot of outreach that needs to be done. The reason why there's a Smyrna annexation, there's a reason why there's a discussion of cityhood, and the reason is we want more zoning, we want better code enforcement in the area, and we need to put all those issues on the table and let the people decide.
Is that a yes or no for you? Do you support the creation?
I do support Mableton as a city, but the Cobb County Commissioners don't bring that vote forward. That goes at the state level.
No, but I don't know. I seriously do not have an attachment for it. I believe that the group spearheading that has backed off of it, at least for this year. And I think that they really do need to have that broad discussion, robust community engagement so that people do understand what it means. Right now, we're looking at the 30 point something in the millage rate for a lot of the cities. And the Alliance is saying that they're not going to impose anything on top of that tax in the millage. So I would be holding your feet to the fire on that. If you say you're not going to have additional taxes, then that's what I'd be looking for. And I'd be looking to hear that in those presentations to the community. But at the end of the day, it's a democratic process and majority rules. I mean, that's the US that we live in.
There are a few things that I need to unpack, so I'm going to speak very quickly about this. Number one, the feasibility study is in, and I have been a part of the grassroots organization who have presented information sessions to the district and for the past like 2.5 years. So in one session, you might not have only had 7 people, but when you take that one session and you multiply it over the 2.5 year period, there were a lot of people to come out, a lot of people to voice their opinion and respect in favor of cityhood. The feasibility study is in. I'm not sure if you all had an opportunity to read it, but it shows that the proposed city has a surplus over $2.3 million, and that's without an increase in taxes. So the conversations have been had. The information has been out there. We have people that are on the board that are homeowners. We have a person on the board who's on the planning commission. So our whole goal is not to push cityhood one way or the other, but it's to bring information to the public, which is
in favor of it. I'm not even in favor of the annexation, but I know that the vote will probably come to the residents. I think it's creating a disharmony within District 4, where we have cities competing against one another when we're supposed to be a district all together. I know the people make the decisions on that, but no, I'm not in favor. I mean, the cost to create a city, we have no idea what the cost is going to be. I know we did studies and what it's going to cost to maintain that city. The services are still going to be utilized by Cobb County. I would definitely go into Cobb County departments and ask the county department heads, why is this area wants to become a cityhood? What are we not doing to provide adequate service to these people? So that's my question, is how can we create harmony instead of discussion in these cities competing with one another for funds and taxes?